Hi guys, this is Twin Peaks Twin Perspective. I'm Joe.
I'm James.
And that's Josie over there, right? And tonight we're going to be bringing you thoughts we thought you didn't think of. Full spoilers on everything Twin Peaks.
Yeah.
And this is for Twin Peaks Return, episode 14, We Are Like the Dreamer.
And maybe not just thoughts we thought you didn't think of, but thoughts no one's talking about as well. Listen to the community, everyone on YouTube, we listen to everyone, and we try to think of stuff that maybe you didn't think of or that we haven't been hearing a lot about.
Yeah, we try to do that a lot. And we'll bring in some of the stuff.
You guys are pretty good to get everything.
Well, yeah, if you have Reddit and Facebook and Twitter, then you're getting pretty much everything touched on. But we don't have that. I like watching the YouTube videos and getting on Facebook for a little bit, and that's it.
What's first?
I don't know. What are we going to talk about first?
First thing I got is dirt in the pocket. Now, of course, you mentioned in the review that there's three different Franks, three different Hawks, and three different Bobbies, all coming back to Jack Rabbit's palace.
Yeah, they all ended in the same spot, but they all three versions came from three different directions.
And you suggested that was three different possible timelines.
Yeah, it could have been. It seemed like as though that had an indication of why they couldn't remember things either. It's like their memory was displaced throughout these different timelines, but they eventually ended up back at Jack Rabbit's palace in the same spot.
That's got to be because of the soil. Dirt in the pocket.
Right. Some people were thinking the dirt in the pocket grounded you to earth so that no matter how long and far you went in the opening, that you'd come back to earth. You know, right back at Jack Rabbit's palace. So that's the way people were looking at it too.
That's the way I was looking at it. And now it seems like no matter what timeline you bail out on from that spot, it'll bring you back.
Yeah. To the same spot that you got here, dirt.
And just Jack Rabbit Palace dirt.
But Andy, he appeared, it seemed three different versions of Andy, but it was along the same path.
He was coming from the same spot no matter what.
Yeah.
It seems like those three drifted off.
Mm-hmm.
Went and committed murders and stuff, came back, don't remember a damn thing.
Right, they don't remember anything. And Andy got to go to the lodge, so he's downloaded. He's got all the info now. He knows stuff that we don't know yet. He's going to give it up to in the next few hours. We've only got 4 hours left.
It answers the age-old question, was Andy using reverse psychology on Lucy when ordering the chair? Andy was smart enough now, but he wouldn't have been taken. His heart was too good. If he was a reverse psychology sneaky bastard like that, the lodge would have seen through it, and he wouldn't have been picked. Hawk would have been picked. So Andy is good. And he wasn't using reverse psychology. End of discussion.
Of course. Yeah, they love each other. That's one of the only couples that have stayed together and are going to stay together, it seems like. Now, there's the one point when Andy's getting downloaded all the information and he sees what appears to be the future. We see the phone, which should have been the call that Truman received from Cole. But for sure, we saw the future when he was positioning Lucy in the hallway. And some people are worried about Lucy now, and they're wondering what that is all about. I felt like it was like a justification for all of this being real, that it was going to be a realization to Andy when it happens. That I don't know, though. It was almost like he was positioning Lucy so that he could see Lucy from where he was at and going, okay, here you go, I see you. I don't know. It's weird.
He was backing out, too.
Yeah, he backed out. But he was definitely positioning her. And she didn't know what was going on, it appeared. So perhaps it has something to do with just he'll verify that all of this is real when he puts her in that spot and sees her from the past.
Lucy, I need you to look at this Cooper and tell me, is it the right one? Right. And then he backs off.
Right. Lucy, Here's Dick Tremaine. He's just come back from the doctors.
Let's see, what you got next? You want to go chronological? Next thing I have to talk about is Diane.
I love talking about the good girl that is Diane. Let's talk about Diane.
Let's just put some of this into perspective. If Diane had anything to do with planning Janie E. in some nefarious plot with Mr. C, then why doesn't Janie E. just pull a butcher knife out and stab Dougie Jones in the big plan? This is the worst Dr. Evil plan I've heard, if that's what it is.
So we know for a fact Janie E. doesn't know what's going on.
She could be manufactured.
Yeah, but the ultimate goal is to kill this Dougie, so Janie E., if she was working for Bad and working with Diane, then she'd have killed Dougie.
Yeah.
So let's say she doesn't know what's going on. She has no idea what's going on. Maybe Diane, if Diane's bad and they were going to conjure up this Dougie Jones for bad reasons, maybe she just wanted her sister to get stuck with him, right? Because she hates her sister, and let's make Dougie fall in love with her, and this will be great. 2 birds with 1 stone kind of thing. I mean, does that sound like a plot?
Sounds more, to me, I have to look at it because I had to write it down. Is if Diane really loved Cooper, and she knew Mr. C isn't her Cooper.
Right.
Well, she still needs to find her Cooper, so she would have to stay close to him. She would have to keep tabs with him. She might have to play a charade with him to buy time to find Coop. And why not enlist the help of Gordon and Albert and the FBI? Because I mean, there's all sorts of reasons why that wouldn't work, but she knows doppelgangers exist. So who do you trust? Do you just run and tell Gordon? He could be a doppelganger Gordon for all she knows. That's why she's keeping quiet. That's why she's not sharing information.
Okay. But she's not communicating with Mr. C.
No.
At all.
I don't believe it.
No, she's definitely not. Not only all the points that we brought up before, the different time that the text was sent, the different case lettering and punctuation of the text, and where all the different texts came from, all that's proof that she's not speaking one-on-one with Mr. C.
And the biggest proof, he sent the text at 11:09.
Mr. C sent the text.
Then he threw the phone on the ground, and Hutch shot it.
Right.
And then Diane sent a text that said, they're taking Hastings to the site.
Right. She got a text, a totally different text, and then she sent a text back.
To
what? A shot phone?
A shot phone, apparently, if it was Mr. C.
So it's not Mr. C.
It's not. It can't be. And then later on, Mr. C said, Las Vegas. And then she sent back, they haven't axed yet.
And then her phone
Message failed. Message failed. Message failed.
Message failed.
It's not Mr. C. Diane is in the clear.
She's definitely in the clear. And there's lots of reasons not to trust Cole and Albert and
It's Albert.
Tammy. I mean, they might be doppelgangers for all Diane knows, but also they're just goofs and they screw it all up. Everybody that's ever been part of the Blue Rose task is gone. And she lost her best friend, Cooper, because of these nincompoops.
Wait a minute. We're looking for a Douglas Jones and a Jane Jones?
Yeah.
Look for all the Mr. and Mrs. Douglas Joneses that you can in Las Vegas.
Right.
Without a mention of the name Jane.
Jane or Jane E. Don't mention that at all. That's
Mr.
what we do in the FBI.
You know there's a Douglas Jones out there that's got a wife named Shaniqua Williams, but you know what they're known as? Mr. and Mrs. Douglas Jones.
God.
The one with the white wife. She's got blonde hair.
Now the Fuscos get drunk back into this because, you know, the FBI is on to Janie and Dougie now. So
they're going to go digging through the wastebasket.
Now some people said, we know now what E means for Janie E because Diane's last name is Evans, so everybody thinks it's Janie Evans, but that would mean they had the same dad. And
maybe his name was
Bob Evans.
Bob Evans. Makes sense to me.
But I'm not sure about all that. That's her nickname, Janie E. Nobody goes by that. So of course David Lynch left it out by having Gordon Cole leave it out.
Yeah, Diane didn't say, they also have a son named Sonny Jim. You know, so maybe she doesn't even know about.
Yeah.
It's been so long, she wouldn't know that he was born if it's been as long that.
She knows him well enough to know that everybody calls him Dougie. So
Yeah.
she's spoken with her sister long enough to know that she got married to this guy and that he has a nickname.
He looks like a fat Cooper with a toupee.
She's probably mad at her. You knew I was in love with Cooper, and you went and married someone that looked just like him. Okay, what you want to talk about next?
Well, with David Lynch not mentioning Jane prolongs, I'm afraid in his mind, the mystery. Let's keep the mystery alive. And you don't have to keep the mystery alive by leaving out information. We assume Frank didn't tell Gordon Cole,
Gordon Cole.
about the
Key.
the key,
About the tube from Mr. Briggs, Major Briggs, about the destination they were going
they
to.
were going anything. The only thing mentioned was the letters that were found, which
The pages.
our concessions are Lynch. Took place earlier in the timeline. That this happened before they found the tube.
Yeah,
But this kind of thing, Mr. and Mrs. Douglas Jones, get on it.
right. In your fair city, there's only 23 Mr. and Mrs. Douglas Joneses.
If you're doing it to keep the mystery alive, if Lynch is doing it to keep the mystery alive, he's sabotaging the writing. You know, it makes the writing look bad. It sabotages
Just makes
the
the cops
characters. It makes Constance look like an idiot because she didn't Google Dougie, and Janie E. in United States. You know, it just, when you do that. But
Well, they were stretching 9 hours into 18, so they were going to piddle fart around. That's what I like to call it, piddle fart around.
throwing away the FBI prints, the Fuscos. And that was good. You know, I like that.
Because they knew the guy was there. They knew Dougie was there. There was no way he escaped from prison. So this is all horse crap, and they threw it away. A lot of people don't talk about that.
It gave us a moment to go, oh! But you don't do that when it's like, okay, how come they haven't called, or this person yet? Or when you look at the timeline, it gets kind of confused. A lot of people said Diane said, I hate her.
Instead of, I hate her.
I hate her.
I hate her.
A
lot of people said she says now whenever the woodsman comes towards the car. When Hastings said now, or towards one of the woodsmen when they were by the shed. Now. That's just absolutely crazy.
Next thing I got, and this is just me thinking David Lynch is sick and he's going to repeat himself. But remember in Lost Highway when Bill Pullman was in there and then they came back to bring him his lunch and it was Balthazar Getty?
He was in the prison.
Right.
Yeah.
In Lost Highway. Well, yeah. They're going to come back and it's going to be Cheryl Lee in that jail cell instead of NATO. That's just a Lost Highway thing that Lynch would do. Cheryl Lee. Just standing there waiting.
Laura Palmer, you're back from the dead?
No, we've given Laura. I also think that hum, James is approaching that door. That could be the golden Laura orb. And just sitting there.
It's been
when
there.
he opens the door.
It's been there for 25 years or longer, right?
James sees Laura for the first time in 25 years. And she says, I love you, James.
Okay, we have to go back to that door. James is standing there. He hears the hum. We see a door. We have to go back in that damn boiler room basement and
pick up right where we're
open the door, right? Okay, let's talk about Freddy's destiny. Freddy's purpose. Not too long ago in another video I said they don't just drop people in a Twin Peaks and all of a sudden they become a hero. Well, this guy's prepared, and the giant has a purpose for him. He has a destiny. And apparently he's going to use this glove. And it's like an enormous pile driver. And I've heard a bunch of people talking about how Freddy with the green glove is the one that's going to go mano a mano with Mr. C. That would be over the top anticlimactic, okay? Or rather below my expectations. All right, it's a pile driver, so I think he's going to dig somewhere. They're going to be on some time constraint. We got to get it now, and I'll get it, mate.
He's a red herring. I think it's one of those things where you're thinking the best is going to happen, and in one fatal swoop, he's dead.
Oh,
he never gets to use his fist before he gets his arm cut off.
Oh my word!
But Freddy did. He was told, "Don't tell anybody." Even though, since I told my doctor, I guess I could tell you, Jimmy. Well, you're not supposed to tell anybody for a reason, and that's because you have a destiny. If you run your mouth, somebody's going to find out and take you out of.
That's true.
Your destiny. And who says James is a good guy? James could open that door and come back with all Bob. Bob could have all the knowledge, and Bob could be sitting there waiting with his candles and possess James. And now Bob knows we got to get rid of this guy with the glove.
Okay,
That's why you don't tell anyone.
So Freddy shouldn't have been running his mouth.
Yeah, Freddy shouldn't have been running that.
But in order for Freddy to fulfill his destiny, he would need some sort of guidance. So I guess the giant would have had to use his remote control and make something happen, because I don't think Freddy knows what he's doing. I mean, he's got a job at the Great Northern. I think James is going to need Freddy to dig beyond this door. They're going to hear the hum. He's going to use his glove to dig, and they're going to find something there. And that's going to be about the gist of the glove.
Well, we still don't know how he got the ticket that was already bought for him, but it's kind of like the Black Lodge, or the Lodge helping Dougie out. It's just kind of a precursor where things have just pointed him in this direction.
Somebody went in there, bought a ticket, and then the Lodge did some light effects, and he was like, I'm going to buy a ticket under the name of Freddie Sykes. One-trip ticket to America, Twin Peaks, Washington.
Wait, sure you're wanted for the murder of some Jobsworth who got punched in the Gregory?
Right. Well, they have free health care because they have a single-payer system, so, yeah.
Down here,
Jobsworth got his jaw replaced, no problem. Here in America, Jobsworth would go bankrupt because health insurance companies have to make that money. Okay.
Amen. Preaching to the choir. The only thing I wrote down,
London town,
and it's too. I guess you'd have to get really stoned, but we are like the dreamer.
Mm-hmm.
Then it says we dream.
We are like the dreamer who dreams and then lives inside the dream. That's everybody. We all imagine what our life's going to be, and then some people actually live the life they want to live. Some people.
Well, we are like the dreamer.
Yeah, we are like the dreamer.
Who is the dreamer?
Yeah, who's the dreamer?
So it would be like the God in all this.
Right. The giant.
That's David Lynch.
Yeah. The dreamer is David Lynch.
Twin Peaks is mine. You guys live in the dream. You dream about the dream. You ask me to come back. I come back. I'm the dreamer. Don't complain about what I'm giving you. It's my dream. Live in it. Or don't live in it.
He's being forced to live in it.
But the woodsman, okay, now we see that the woodsman, you kind of forget when you're around the woodsman, this is all going to come together. And you get the big radio station with this is the water, this is the well, and it kind of puts everybody to sleep. I would think maybe they all forgot about that day the next day when they woke up.
Right.
But what I'm trying to get at is because certain things are being forgotten, and it's almost like these tulpas, if you're a thought form that can create a sentient being that runs around and talks and stuff like Dougie, then cheats on its wife and stuff. And then you have these woodsmen, and you can kind of forget. You see, I told you, I knew where I was going, but then I'll lose it. That's why I didn't want to talk about it, because it's too confusing. But people are forgetting things, and it's veering them on a different timeline than where they should be. And these actions that have taken place by the giant, the fireman, and Philip Gerard is knocking the timeline back where it should be, and people are starting to remember, like, I don't think Albert and Cold forgot that Philip Jeffries ever showed up. They just forgot that Philip Jeffries said, "Do you know who this is there?" Or do you think they forgot that he showed up?
Yeah, it would seem like they would have remembered something like that, being the Blue Rose task force and all. So, did they forget the whole incident, or did they just forget
that
he pointed and said that?
Oh, now I remember.
I remember that he did that.
I mean, really, it
makes sense now that I've remembered that part of it.
I mean, they were still pointed. That just
it's
proves
the same thing with the woodsman. Everybody sees the woodsman, and they don't do anything. They don't say anything, and they remember later. I have a feeling that everyone that was at Jack Rabbit's Palace that went to the site is going to start to remember bits and pieces about what they experienced when they were there. But it's like at this point they knew they were going there. They just don't remember anything that happened. I think that's like that suppressed memory, and all of it's going to come to. So it's not like, because Andy's not giving us the answers right now. It's not like he's being nefarious because he's not giving us the answers. He's going to give us the answers when the answers are needed. So.
Yeah, like he just walked out of the jail cell, so the next thing we're going to see is him going in there and
breaking it all down.
Breaking it all down.
Flip that chalkboard over. Let's get to work in the conference room, man. Let's break it down.
Andy found the cocaine. Andy figured out it was a map. Andy.
Yep.
What did Andy do?
Andy shot Jacques.
Andy shot Jacques.
Andy's always been a hero.
That's right. Fucking Andy, man. Fucking Andy. Well, see, I guess that's the only thing I'm thinking is because people forget, and like, then they kind of remember, and it's almost like their timeline is getting knocked back to where it should have been to begin with, kind of thing. So I don't know if that has anything to do with anything. I hope it's a big good versus evil at the end, and not a whole bunch of questions. But
I think Coop's going to end up in the lodge. But that's just me.
I called it Sleepy Bug Time, and I'm not finished with it. That's why I'm like, I got halfway through, and I'm like, I'm not done with my thought. We'll get back to it once I get proven wrong.
Somebody find out how many times the word tulpa was looked up in America. I bet this was the most popular week for the word tulpa ever in the history of the internet. And we all questioned Tammy and whether she'd be a good agent or not. And she says tulpa and has us all running for Google and Wikipedia. Probably one person out of 30 that I've seen actually knew what a tulpa was, and the rest of them had to Google it.
I was wrong. Yep, that does it for my thoughts. There's not a whole lot of thoughts when it comes to Sarah. It does look like when she opens her face, there is a hand in front of her face that grabs and pulls a mask away, and then you see the smile. So even after she moved her face, she still pulled a mask off to reveal Laura Palmer's smile. Period. It's the prom picture, the homecoming picture, the picture. It's the same smile.
But I don't know if Sarah's okay. So I think we all agree that Sarah's possessed by something. There's some people out there who say this is a game changer. She's evil now. Sarah was always evil. And I always
got a bug up her butt.
Right. I always thought that the people themselves could be good. They're just inhabited by a Black Lodge entity of some sort. Leland and Bob and all that. But a lot of people insist this is the bug girl and that this is the bug inside of her. And some people are saying it's the experiment or the mother figure, and that they're inside of Sarah now. I think we can all agree, I hope, that she's possessed by something. That the little girl was a normal little girl. She might have been gifted or whatever, but she was human before she swallowed the bug, if that's the route you take. So but
I don't think the bug she was mean the whole time. Like, this thing was dormant. Probably, she wasn't possessed when her daughter died and when her husband died. I don't think she was possessed by anything. She might have had a bug in her, but I don't think it's what's causing this now.
No, me either. I don't either. I think that after her husband and her daughter died, she just went down that dark path and was susceptible to it. Possession. Maybe she went looking for Laura and Leland and ended up in the lodge and got corrupted that way. But that's one point I would like to make. I think Sarah's innocent. Even if it's the bug girl, she was still innocent before the bug crawled in there. So there is a way to save Sarah, without a doubt. Get over that.
Head with a shovel, golden shovel. Knocked a pow into her.
Now, if the coordinates Mr. C got are the coordinates to the same place the sheriff's department went, 253 yards east of Jack Rabbit's palace, then what would Mr. C want to do? This opening seems like it's to the White Lodge, the gold instead of the oil, or the eggshell, white or gold, whatever color you want to call it. I always thought it was Lower Pier, so maybe Mr. C wants to go there so he can like corrupt, and then we remember the giant fireman telling Cooper at the beginning of the series, "It is in our house now." So
it is in our house now.
So I figure they're either talking about Mr. C or they're talking about Sarah Palmer, if she's got that experiment thing in her.
It's either the Palmer house or they're storming the zone. They're storming the vortex. He's like, it's in our house now. I got the experiment in here. I got this evil coop thing in here. I got all kind of things. A woodsman running all over the place. They're in our house now.
We're gonna have to get somebody else to direct this shit. Okay, so I want to talk about NATO for a second. Yeah, it does seem awkward that she's on Earth. It seems like she was an otherworldly being and now she exists on Earth as a real person. Some people have suggested she's a vessel. And like you said, maybe Laura pops up in the cell instead of NATO.
I'd still rather Laura and Candy.
Yeah, I think Laura's in Candy right now. And Nido's just a mystery. Now, Andy said somebody wants to kill Nido. And the first person I thought of was Mr. C. And then I thought, well, the mother was knocking on the door, right? And Nido was helping Coop, so maybe it's the mother experiment figure that wants to kill Nido.
Do you think she's got scratches because she's trying to see the scratching in her eyes?
I have no idea. Now, like you said, Andy said physically she's fine. But I would still have a doctor go in there and look at that, because that just looks weird.
Andy said physically she's fine. We cannot tell anybody about this. Okay. That is why
we can't.
That is why there's no doctors. No one knows. Well, Chad knows. Jeez.
Well, I guess Chad knows something. I don't know if Chad got a good look at her or not. But the only person that acknowledged the drunk in the jail cell was Chad. You noticed Andy and Lucy didn't say anything to the drunk.
It's really hard to tell if you can't even really see him across the way. When Andy's talking to Chad and we're looking from Lucy's point of view, I don't see him.
Right.
I mean, the bars are kind of thick and to where you can't really see.
The drunk says something to Chad, then Andy walks up, but Andy and Lucy don't acknowledge the drunk.
They never look at him.
They leave, and then the drunk has this.
I want that thing to turn into a woodsman and eat Chad's head. And then go to eat NATO, but there's Laura standing there, and it scares it off. It scurries back into the shadows.
And I couldn't figure out who was Megan and who was Sophie in the review video. Megan was Tina's daughter, and Sophie was the woman in plaid, who I said was Lynch's wife.
Right.
David Lynch's wife in real life. Now, when you look at the credits, you see that Megan is credited as Shane Lynch. So a lot of people were thinking, okay, that must be David Lynch's wife because her last name's Lynch. Well, Shane Lynch is actually the daughter of Kelly Lynch. And she's not married to David Lynch. The actress across the table, who is Emily Stoffel, is David Lynch's wife. Credited as Emily Stoffel.
Now, Kelly Lynch was with Jim Belushi in Curly Sue. John Hughes.
We always do that 6 degrees.
You gotta get it back to Twin Peaks some kind of way. You said Jim Belushi and Cheryl Lee last week.
Oh, yeah, man. That's a good movie. I like that movie. Okay, and that's it. The only other thing left to do now is guess what color the Rancho Rosa sign's going to be. Guess who says the title of the episode? So we got to lay down our predictions.
That's the color right there.
What is that, maroon?
It's kind of mauve.
Oh,
maroon.
So you're going to go with the purplish.
Yeah, it's kind of reddish more.
Purplish reddish for the Rancho Rosa.
See. See?
And I'm going to go with red. I'm going with red. I think it's going to be full-blown black and red.
We're picking close to the same colors.
Cool. Now, our next episode is number 15. There's some fear in letting go. There's some fear in letting go. Who do you think's going to say that?
Andy.
That's what the hell I wrote.
Did you?
Andy.
Well, but who's he saying it to?
We don't have to guess that. Andy was a home run swing. So we're going for the fences this week.
There's some fear in letting go.
There's some fear in letting go. We think Andy's going to say it.
To Lucy at her dying breath.
Don't say that.
4 episodes left. No one's safe. Hi, y'all. Watch our movie spot thing we did.
Yep. Please subscribe to Rosenfield 10 and click the bell, and that way you'll get a notification every time we post one of these videos. Thanks for tuning in. This has been Twin Peaks Twin Perspective, thoughts we thought you didn't think about. I'm Joe.
I'm James.
And we will see you in the trees.
Bye.